Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and today I'm going to do another acrylic pour experiment. This is video 16, and today I'm going to try something really radical. I'm going to do a pour on a jelly plate. If you don't know what a jelly plate is, it is basically a silicone plate, looks like this, like jelly, and usually it's used for monoprinting. You spread paint on it and you lift off various monoprints using acrylic paint, but usually you put the paint on very thin and in layers. I'm going to do this with sort of a pour, and then when I get everything on this jelly plate, I'm going to dip my canvas into it face down and see what I get. This could be a mess, it could be a disaster, I don't know. Maybe this would have been better off in my crap video series, but I'm going to give it a try and see what's going to happen. Now I think I've got my paints mixed up, and I've got basically 5 colors in white, and I've mixed 1/3 of this is, or 1/4, yeah, it's about a third of this is paint, the other 2/3 is Floetrol, and the Floetrol was mixed with some silicone as well. Now, I have no idea what's going to happen with this. I have more than enough paint mixed up, so I will have paint left over on here as well. So I've got some watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press watercolor paper off to the side, and I'm going to use it to pull some other prints up as well. Which reminds me, I need to get out probably a palette knife for this, get one handy as well. I'm going to do this as a dirty pour. Not going to do as a flip cut because I think it would be too awkward. I have my jelly plate on top of an old tray that had one of those pre-made vegetable trays, and I just saved the bottom tray part and washed it, and I'm going to use it for this. And yeah, so let's give it a go and see what's going to happen. So we're going to start with a little bit of white, and I don't need very much of any of this. A little blue, little green, little orange, little yellow. So basically I'm just using basic colors with this. Oops. A little drip on the tray. And this is supposed to be red, looks a little bit more like a pink. And I think that's all I'm going to pour in here. Now I'm going to pour just a little bit more white on top. Okay. I might give this just a little swirl. That's all. And I'm just going to pour it out on my jelly plate. Now this jelly plate is bigger than my canvas. Okay, so I have it poured out here. I'm getting a little bit of selling, but I'm just going to let it run down a little bit. And because this jelly plate is made of silicone, it sticks to my tray pretty good. Just want to spread it out enough that I can dip my canvas into it. And I think I'm going to take a stick, and maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can fill in those spots that I made. Getting some cells, I'm not getting a lot, but I wasn't really that concerned about getting cells for this. I just want to see what this is going to look like when I dip it. This is based on some other YouTube videos I saw where people were putting their paint on one canvas and then dipping another canvas on top of that canvas So I'm just trying to get a even layer here as best I can, and I'm trying not to go over the edges of the jelly plate, although eventually it will, and that's not going to be really a major problem. Got a lot of orange in this. Now my paint isn't that thin, so it is taking time to pour out. Okay. Still need a little bit more down here. Sorry, almost went out of the shot. Yeah, I'm getting a little on the tray, but that's okay. I'm still trying to get that part that's up in here a little bit more into the center. Okay. All right, are we ready? Just pressing it down to make sure. Okay, pull it this way. Well, that's interesting. I didn't get all the space on it though. I've got some white space happening here. Just see if I can get the paint to move a little bit more. Okay, I'm just gonna can't say as though I really like the colors, although it's not that bad. Now this part in here, I just okay, smoosh it down a little bit more. So it seems when I smush it down that I don't get I don't know if I torch it if I'm going to get anything out of this. Let's move this up here. Move this down here. I know you can't see that probably very well. I'm going to grab my torch. I don't want to put too much on that. Okay, so didn't really get all that great a coverage. All right, what the heck? This is a cheap canvas. Let's just carry on with the experiment and see what happens here. I'm going to add more paint. I'm going to add some blue to this. Add a little more white. And let's add a little bit of the yellow. Just going to move it around. Yeah, I've got a lot of white happening here. Let's add a little of this pinky shade. Just to break it up. Okay, this is a little thicker. I don't think, I want to be very careful. I don't know how this will react to heat. No, not really getting anything from that. Okay, I'm going to take the same canvas and we're going to dunk it in. Oops, that wasn't really what I had in mind, but I'm kind of pressing it in harder this time. Ooh, that's a little nicer. Just let that run down a little bit. Kind of pastel colors. Now I'm not getting drippage over the edges, but you know, I'm not going to worry about that. I have some cells happening. I'll get some running down the edges. Okay. Oh, I'm getting some selling as it sits here. All right, let's see if I can do a one-man. I can't do a one-man. All right. Put this down here. Sorry it's out of the shot. Okay, it didn't really help a lot, but so I have paint on here, so let's dip. Let's try this. Let's just dip the edges. Okay. So that is kind of interesting. And I'm just going to leave that to dry. Now I'm going to take this and put it over. I've got a drying area over here. Still a lot of stuff going on here. So I've got another one of those little canvases. So why don't I try some more with that? I just want to get that canvas over there plopped up. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what was left over on here, and I think I'm just going to add a little bit more, maybe a little bit of the red and a little bit more blue. And I don't know about the orange, maybe just a drop. And there's some white. I've got a little white left, so okay. Let's take my palette knife and just do a little swipey thing. Tilt it a bit. Some of these spots are a little thinner than others, so I'm just trying to dab those up. Let's see if I can get any cells out of this. Not really. Excuse me. Okay, we've got another canvas I'm going to dip in here, so I'm just going to throw it right in here. I'm going to squish it down. I'm going to let it run a little bit. That's kind of neat. And I'm just going to do the edges. Now, once again, my color choice sort of sucks. There we go. But that's not bad. It's kind of interesting. I think I like it better than the first one. Okay, I'm going to put it over here to dry. Now, I still have paint left, so I'm going to see if I can pull a print on watercolor paper. So let's just see if we can muck some of this about. Got some spots here, so let's add a little blue. And a little more yellow. And still got a little white. A little bit of the green, maybe. Got a lot of the green. The orange. And oops, good, I'm making a mess. I don't think I've got enough blue left. Nope. And there's a little bit of this pinky red. Okay. Let's make it run a bit. Now I'm letting it go over the edges, because in a minute I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with whatever's left over this after I've tried to do some prints. Just run the palette knife through it, see if I can get a little bit of variation. Okay. Sheet of watercolor paper. This is 140-pound cold press. can tell there's a lot of paint on there because my paper's sliding all over the place. Oh, well, that's not bad. Okay, let's put it over to dry. And we're just making room over here. Sorry that a lot of silence in this video, but that's what happens when you're concentrating. I'm actually getting a little selling on that piece of watercolor paper too. Not a lot, but a little bit. Try another piece. I'm not going to do anything to this. I'm just going to move it around like that a little bit. Press down. Make sure the surface of the paper is touching the jelly plate. That's not bad either. There's some selling happening with that too. It seems if the layer's a little thinner, I get more selling happening. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, because this is turning into mud, is I'm going to pour what's left of my paint on here. And I don't think I have much white. Or much blue left either. But this is a real experiment, what I'm doing here now, because I used to put freezer paper underneath my drips to create acrylic skins. Then I tried the silicone mat, which works better. Well, jelly plates are made of silicone. So the paint will, once it's dry, should peel off like skin. So that's what I'm doing here. And this tray is plastic, so it may take a day or two, but I'm just like trying to fill in those areas that are air bubbly. Because I'm just going to leave this to dry, just as it is, and see if this will create a skin. You know, I've really got to work on my color combinations. Okay. So this will probably take a day or two to dry. We'll see. And we'll see what our final result is. So, yeah. So you saw what I was doing, and you saw the results that I got by dipping the canvas in. I think it might have potential in terms of making a nice background. I think you probably kill the cells by dipping it. I'm not sure. Maybe you could get more if I made a better mixture of the silicone and the Floetrol in with my paints. I just kind of freehand it. I did it on the watercolor paper too. And my idea of doing it on the watercolor paper is that when that dries, I can cut out shapes and things like that, use it in mixed media pieces as part of backgrounds. And I'm seeing if I can get an acrylic skin on top of this jelly plate once this dries. So we'll see how this all works out. In a future video, I'll let you know what the end results are. So that was a little bit of an experiment again. Who knows? But it's kind of fun to play. See you in the next one.